This exploding kitten can explain the truth about crowdfunding, and this one, and this one, and this one. This is all part of a game called Exploding Kittens. If you draw an exploding kitten, you blow up unless you have the right cards. Some cards have special abilities like skip and attack, and others are just funny, like the Catermelon. If you haven't played it, think Old Maid and strategy and death.
It was basically Russian roulette with a deck of poker cards. We said, there's going to be a bomb in this deck. We took the Joker and wrote bomb on it.
That's Elan Lee. He and Shane Small and Matt Inman, the famous artist behind the Oatmeal webcomic, made this game.
And put it up on Kickstarter, expecting to raise $10,000, and instead broke every record that Kickstarter had.
They raised almost $9 million. 219,000 people joined them, giving them more backers than any other Kickstarter project ever. With Exploding Kittens, they raised millions of dollars and went on to sell a ton more copies. You can get the game in Target, but when they made a second game called Bears vs. Babies, they crowdfunded again, even though Kickstarter has a lot of risks. In case you forgot, kickstarting is when you kick down on a pedal to get your engine going. These guys did not need a kickstart. They had an engine of Exploding Kittens, but they still went back and gave Kickstarter a 5% fee to return to the platform. So why did the biggest crowdfunded game in history do it all over again? This guy has backed a ton of Kickstarter projects.
Yeah, I have backed something like 1,950 projects, which I believe puts me at like 15 on the global leaderboard. So that does not make you number one. I'm both happy and sad to say.
He just cracked 2,000, by the way. And some of those projects are weird.
There was recently a project to make a gigantic sculpture of Cristiano Ronaldo made entirely out of shrimp. Obviously, I had to back that. And it's a real shame. You know, Ronaldo really should have pitched in for that last 40 grand to make it happen.
He's made his own projects, too.
Over the next month, I'm going to make a simple zine of about 12 essays about alternate NBA universes. A world where Isaiah Thomas is a giant living on a Gulliver's Island of his own creation.
My name is Yancey Strickler, and I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Kickstarter. My life before Kickstarter was as a culture vulture, writing about music and film for a living for almost 10 years. And so my entire life has been looking for the new, what's on the vanguard, what's on the edges of things, and Kickstarter is just nothing but that.
All that backing isn't just a hobby. It's key to what he thinks is important about crowdfunding. And it's not the dollar signs.
What we were really trying to raise was a crowd.
If you look at the Exploding Kittens Kickstarter page, you'll notice a few things. There aren't a lot of options for money, a few tiers, that's it. But there are a ton of rewards they invented, without money in mind. They're as random as Exploding Kitten beard cats. They made people do stuff to unlock rewards.
10 Batmans in one hot tub. What the hell does that even mean? Who would possibly do that?
Here's an awesome 3D printed model they got back in response. In return, Exploding Kittens unlocked features, like a fancy hinged special edition box that, yes, meowed when backers opened it. They even said, "Help us build this game," because it was part of their crowdfunding strategy.
This is not a store. This is the place where you don't build infomercials, you enlist a community.
It's not money, but engagement that drew them back to crowdfunding for their second game, even though there are big risks.
We had no idea that the phrase Exploding Kittens should ever be trademarked. Once the game hit day 7 or 8 on Kickstarter, we realized, okay, we actually do need to worry about this. And so I called up the trademark lawyer and said, hey, this is probably a thing we have to do now. And he said, you're too late. Someone's already registered it. They registered it yesterday. And it's so heartbreaking.
Crowdfunding allows competitors to see the future.
A year later, and many lawyers later, and so much time later, we finally have the rights back, because as long as you prove prior art and prior commerce and all these things. But so many people have to work on that.
The popular fidget cube faced a similar problem. They raised millions of dollars, but debuting on Kickstarter forced them to give up an element of surprise.
In Shenzhen, there were Chinese copycats of the fidget cube that hit the market before the fidget cube itself did. So that's a whole new universe of copying a product that does not exist yet to beat it to market. I felt concerned about that, felt badly for those creators that happened, but I'm not sure how to stop that, and I think that people will appreciate that fidget cube is the original, and I'm sure they'll continue to do well.
But creators of games like Exploding Kittens deal with the risks of crowdfunding and Kickstarter's 5% fee because it's worth it for their business.
We looked at crowdfunding in general as a possible way to launch it. And every site that we played around with and kind of even the people that we talked to about it kept looking at the term crowdfunding, and they kept emphasizing the funding part. And when we looked at Kickstarter and started talking to the people who worked at Kickstarter, they really talked us into shifting that and focusing on the word crowd instead. The funding will happen. What you gotta do is build the crowd.
That Bears vs. Babies game that the Exploding Kittens guys took to Kickstarter, they got more than 85,000 people to come back with them. Exploding Kittens is a beautifully designed box with well-drawn cards and a funny gimmick. But without a crowd and without people, it's just paper.